tio import
Yes.
Gambia binga tio import
Yes.
Handi wonjo me mu wonjoti nka import
Yes.
Wala na wonjo ka fodo e Burkina.
Yeah.
Aka Burkina Faso.
Yes. Even gardena fengol fam.
Nka
nke bonne do yiri dingolu.
Otumo onte bakaw.
Yeah.
Ndol buka chalo dom. Ka don ko fuare nyelo.
Yes.
Bi chalo buka soto. Nyelo soto.
Yeah.
So wolmu ko led me alan ko fo man sakunda sa jibe. Andu ni ko ilafta falen wakile ilafta ko le sonia. These are issues balu la kake follow. For example, kunu nim mfama bakachaka because annually na suo kono mamala traditional lo. Sunkaro kono kasada di.
Yes.
So mbe sukur borol sanga kon defon come to think about it.
Yeah.
Muna anka sukuro di molla. Bi akata bunyalti dan mol sulata men.
Yes.
Kongo membe bankuka mol sulata mano la more than sukuro.
Yes.
Kadika sukuro is a supplement.
Yeah.
Eka sukuro ke fenne kono. Ni wo fe nyanda kala mengo ni wo man soto. Eka sukuro ke mo.
Yeah, because the last stable food is rice.
Exactly.
So we need to concentrate more on rice cultivation.
Exactly.
Pour come from Bolundi.
Exactly.
Then fifengol membe filale pour que wafiro ke.
Exactly.
Ka kodo sodala.
So hani aji woto mo bakaw na mero la gadi noldo. Do ko won menga because mona ma soto mba ma bolo dame. Mba mal yela wel soto le kama boro ke nyamen ki salato lu ma bo ka jiyo funfungi kan ki ke but it's not sustainable. So ntolo kama wolam ko you need to have a clearly defined policy on how to support industries. Wala nang ko it's the whole chain, supply chain.
Yeah.
Production, storage, value addition, market value, and then kodo be muruna back nyadile. And mbe okela no nyadile, there are different factors me anko when you look at the value chain. For example, near do ko ke nakudo. Are we creating a value addition for the farmers directly me anko supply consumer binasan na jile directly, or are we creating a value chain me anko there will also be a supplier. So these are all me anko isa jibe no. Banda kame for mole wolam ko. Yeah. It's not rocket science, it's basic understanding. But mansakunda yanta priority letandi la na priority wa mintole pur kado ko. And unfortunately, nta majiki ko mansakunda la priorities are where they're supposed to be. President Adam Barrow is more focused on how do I keep another term than how do I impact the lives of the Gambian people.
Assalamu alaikum barimolu. Nal konton ko reke altol nal konton la wokola sinal bismillah na bi kachato ngamin so dal na platform to jang kacha men ka fa Faburama bi fana ngalundan kuma soro adum nabe kacha kuma kala membe den politiko la banku doko aning banko la nyato tada Mbe bismillah na platform of Honorable Kemo Bojang.
Allah baraka bake. Thank you for inviting me. Baraka yang inviting platform of
Yes. Thank you so much. So kaja abe siara abe kumala abe jamfala bari janning mbita nyaato ngadade ku follow altara IEC diamo siara num chocho siara ko alnyanda men kala almake bari ngalon ko science keno nyaato ta soto daje betembela jumal de say
abarga bake la woni ni karo important bake katum ntol kamem fodoro wala ko mol tema wala ni mo institution oti wala mo party oti wala be movement or any organization me ango be political karola kacha ni nyomo nyanda tarle ni mol tema. That being the case, we are in covering IC. First of all, be mem follow wolum ko. IC mantol dama safe. Bayalo ni covering safaro keda. Tolle to fotaji.
Yeah.
We mentandi wolum kulialo. Andon ko molo hamo be nale. Ando molo fana ya joko nyulle finansa ku keno. Katum party jamale fanan to fota o kuoto ka 7 parties lo. Bare mba ben fol drolam ko kabri waketa ne nata murumne sitan kachata ko bo nyoto ngajo ko nyanta mel kala ngake kado IC yela do ko leke wala ko tolmo umpire lete wala tolmo referee lete ko football na be kering
mo men kata ko umpire o diara nye because ndaga cricket leke
exactly so ndaga cricket player no so yeah
umpire
so,
good
yeah. so tolmo umpire lete or imo referee lete me an ko nin ko ba keri na nyanda jibe ay ta silo andon ndaga men fo drolam ko nimu process le process kono dum fesa ko so de nyanda imol nyanta mel tandili la ya tandila ya keku so ntolla issue mel ya men race ngafo ko wala kilimo wala kola kuoni
yes
na kola men choose e kane ibrava tambora manela kola muluntal
alla pati coloro
wala coloro nyinti wala blue ni aning red where is very similar to purple color
yes
but ntolla difference was ko alonka be kala nyadi and dole ka vertical so dole horizontal so that's one two fana yemen raise walam ko kabrimbe formal field kan moli la constituency sa fenyam anila regions for example Gambia demarcation fulal soto you have the administrative demarcations and you have the political demarcations
yes
for example niko administrative demarcation LRR administrative demarcation because it's a region lower river region but politically man sa konkole lonta because area council only want so ndola mo dol kabri ba field kan ye LRR sa fe instead of man sa konko area council for example or for example KMC instead of Kanifing because Kanifing Municipal Council council where is different from KMC the municipality KM Kanifing municipality
KMC is an institution but KM
is the municipality
is the area
exactly so womu dolti do fana mbije wala mto katon kabri ngada follow mobe along Unite Movement for Change wolum ko movement wala mel lota but say movement woni be metamorphose kan be move kan ka become a political party party nyinto united unite wala acronym lam or dol sa ko backronym me alon ko it stands for unite for nation integrity transformation and equality memo UNITE so where wakera ko me alon go fanan ko nyanta wo fana molu confused so na modoli asafele UMC instead of Unite so wolbe mo kuti me alon ko ngajibe and those are things me alon ko ngawle correct but ko IC la diam kan IC ta mo reject no it all fun ofale ado mobile nyanto lon pour party lo ka hole franchise the ability to vote and to be voted for and un contenta baga fo nyinketa katum chocho kumata chocho warra ba fala ha talib man resign UDP wala tinna IC my finger because it jamala diamo mun wolti ko talib la resignation balia même fo man keto nya because resign a resignation can be done verbally, it can be done in writing. At that stage, it'll to choose. But ni more than ala organization or ni more than the kulu. Ngamera wada about it organization or already.
Sure.
So where at and the IC findet nan kafo because pamagan kan kabra odi amovo. I was happy. Ako dolanjing has nothing to do with maybe so the resignation from the UDP. So often I will clarify. So ntolun kontan bata because process all. Niaje nyimunun kan keta jikole bije. Andu ntolu mu molde me anko ninku keta nka tale ikawol foko retrospection. Yemuru koma ya jibe nyanda ko melkela. But legal is a legal process. Even in 2021. Najele patil data Supreme Court. A technicality yatin case ni manta true. So technicality was a keno anywhere and what you have to do is you learn from it kajibebe continue the nyamen kela case build up.
So right now as we are speaking albert tembeda jumalti
saying ko be correctly ning IC be nyomo kan saying be batondiro la kajibe mena bina kala kote but I can tell na support albe ko ku menya na kala waketale to nyanta lon kol melta la ngatale and nadia ta ale some science and rombe na kaitol sotla nadia ta ale.
Maybe a critic could say go before albita IEC called issue flag, maybe internally you should have a review process, to see whether in fact Mbekaidol men Sambakang IEC whether they are intact or whether they are in conformity with the requirements of the
no kele but ko ngam fo mo man perfect and don ko ngava nyame party o men fana loyal CRM banko bet well for technical issues okay so nyinko bol nyama because you don't have an answer to everything and it manke deciding factor it manke modi mi anko etel nyanta decision o tala ka foko is this right or wrong o mu dol la do ko o mari ni waya do ko ke nde samira a perfect because for example bi ni ndako ete ko LRR ete ala nembe man sa konkolla right bari luwa ko anyanda kala ten so anyanda kala wal nyam so ndolla do ko mendi wala kala moy luwa tiyo e munefo ngabula wonoma yalo luwa amesiata so ikatale ko ngame for technicalities lo so ikatale iko ela technicality nyanda nyin correctly nyanda nyin kala tek so in the end that's all but amanke kuti me alango isa foko abatina lele mose you know nimisa wala mosa jikila tay ndeka même fo mo la ndumba fala jam koten ko na diata alay on the 5th of December inshallah United better la on the ballot and mol be carte fa la nyam na diata alay
inshallah so jannin ka fulawro 5th of December parendirol be caring momo be ifang deda kan kaloku fo carte fayo isi fen soroje me alongo hana manke kanyeti fam asina fa because padi dol yala no ko ta kanyela o senata
no momo kara election ko ne ka jigele ko be ganyere hapo mo kara election ko ne man jigele
yeah but then I jokingly mock a particular party in go no at all. I appreciate the fact that you have the courage to contest. Okay, but that was at a personal level. I have a joking relationship with the individual. You know, but you recently signed an agreement. Adiamo siata chocho wulita okay adun akamunta fang ku dolbe finde akono dolma men fahamu maybe for badubungola angale kam moy balyalam bang for kudo bari isi je seneyandi munan Tri-Vergence agreement or Tri-Vergence accord
so near try moy angale kam do dawda wala lonkan saba
yes
ko ni ko baye wala lonkan flat
yes so
Tri-Vergence wala ko bela difference wala be sila nyaade le ka wala put you know aside so ntol bi ni ajibe di agreement wala nying kuma kan apex la samana apex wo mo bundal de men ko lota ka jibe be coalition o lo la nyim banko kan nyaadi so coalition lo kan nim parti wala mele bije ko yemel tofo wala ntol dabe wala kono NUP dabe wala kono GFA dabe wala kono UDP dabe wala kono ntol le sidan ko nin kana dun kacha kono alinga lon kan wata me a lonko ntanyo ka jafila ntanyo nenna be nyola alfal bunyala be nyola partiol bunyala wolom Tri-Vergence di wolom ko na difference na divergence ngatu koma be unite ngaka kilemonte bare amange coalition agreement ti follow bare bunda lam ka bunda ele pour ka chamen bina kela abe kela nyaadi so nyin ko bole nyama wolom Tri-Vergence di ando nga wolom kanoleta ntekan na parti represent le at the negotiation parti dol fana la mol so to milke represent so nyin kacha ameda kelale but it's a right step in the right direction andum gamen wol kamen folem ko ito lafta falling wala lafta falling sifa men wolem ko lafta coalition wala
yes
political party dum ni be la moy ni be do ko kela ita buka ke ida mala moli ike la moy banko di wala la lafta munela ni lafta la nyaadi la Gambia done history when it comes to coalitions. Kabin 1962. Yeah, jibe I am Gabaja Humpane Sauda Wali coalition of Kenya Purka
pre-independence. Yeah.
Bota woto nata je coalition dole keta nyim bankoka. But the recent history ngamen soto when it comes to coalition is 2016. Issue le keta mele alon ko atina molu jikila data coalition kuoto wala man sakunda me alon ko coalition wala alondi. But the coalition of Franka bill nyame wala ko force trust like a bill. Well, partner soul tema. You have to build trust. Nimo trust bill akakoleala pour aller ku keno. And unfortunately, when a Tri-Vergence agreement was signed, hani wolu men na center announced that nga video je, nga audio moy, nga comment je from other people, mi eventually for attack la. Ntolu kafo ko itol nin tolta sila dula killing, itol nin tolta kachala. Woman ke itolta de puri yofu. Ila nyaton ko wolle ning Tri-Vergence sign. Wote nyan nakre ijikita ilata wolla. Woto wale yam lonkawon menta ifana nyanta lonkawon letal because ika for a social contract ikela symbol ta ya di mo kilina pour additional make here in the believe ko abmenkele will be in good faith wala kabra ke dan defindita ngam mi video ke nga explain na moli ko unite tonya mobe lonkulu wala ning horomo na okulu kilo ning horomo nyin Tri-Vergence anata wala emphasize andun kontanda ko kabri nyinketa ndolla mo killing image on the media image dulato abe partido ka jafila abe modola kufala kadu wala nyina aspect kala ini moda kachano le ko ina si tableau kan ye jutala ini moda kachano le ka ina si tableau ka ima horoma ini moda silano ka ina kacha ima bunya ñu Tri-Vergence nata wala samana bunya ni horomo anin ko mbeke mo kilemolti nga kacha wolom Tri-Vergence and
so ninge moy alkana dum kacha kuma la kono wolom coalition kachadi pour opposition be ke kilindi ka president baro ka contest against baro bari kacha nyi jannal ka dum kono falsi sartol landi sartol minalon ko kacha nyi betala ani wa sartol la adum kulo horomo famajio wol mu fenneti men yalon ko ikumayata satrol nyinkono wa kukumalom bari yedam for is the problem now. How would political parties or political entities translate this to their members so that the member be any action kala it goes in conformity with that agreement?
Yeah, so I can speak for my party.
Yes.
And on kabirin toli nying sign ndolla mudi je sa ko me kuma fo wala kuma ke party dola karola. I cannot speak for other parties, but it also talks about internal discipline and internal responsibility. Kafo dama ko imu mass party team mela more control no what cannot be a reason anymore. Parties need to take responsibility for the action of their supporters and their people. And for that world to and wanyanta kelan. Kadum politico, it's the oldest profession in the world. And
one of the most important professions.
Yes, and it's an honorable one.
Yes.
So, but Gambia, in fact, na United Nata Wulu. And Dolko, Kabin 2016 for B, na politico menka kewalam Jumale Koteng, Karela for Karela Neng. Dolko na politico nyanta falena, nyanta kela based on issues later. But our kana kadronko issues meanko present in a manifesto. It has to be issues meanko directly affects the lives and wishes and aspirations of the people. So be Gambia for that dame be wolom ko nkamuna fo falling o bina nyaadi de na kiran tol fo la political party mampare falling. Andung wo nyanta wo kala nyaadi wolom ko ntaka memfo is not just about having new politicians or new political parties, but it's also about having new ways of politicking. So nyanta futala wol to kafu ko na politiko mba falling na nyaadi. Nin Tri-Vergence na ta low wala kan.
Yeah, so quickly I want to ask, if let's say you have that Tri-Vergence agreement, are there any form of accountability mechanisms, many alonko they will hold those the parties to the agreement accountable for
the actions of their supporters?
Yeah, for not going by the agreement.
Yes, I mean, Kabri has signed. It's a document. It's a bulky document. The Yemendi party will be ya read le, ya sambela moloka, inata ya sign. So their responsibility is also to those issues. Me anko inyanta moral, inyanta wolong kaultala. But when we put Apex layer decide because Apex has a governing council. They have a secretariat and they have a negotiation council, interbank negotiation council committee leader. So there's someone else man can represent at the other committees. Okay. So each committee yela do ko so nteka bol go. So in the end Apex will take a decision. But if you cannot control your people, email molu manage no for be mol nene be nyoka jafila wolni wolbe do ko kala nyaadi.
It's going to be very difficult.
Exactly. So you not adhering to the Tri-Vergence agreement is in fact in a way you kicking yourself out of the coalition agreement. So womu quality anko fonsa jibe. But I can assure you control we have full faith in the system. We have full faith in the process that's taking place at the moment. And for now we see how things will go.
Yeah, and I could also say an opposition party is a government in waiting. So maybe the conduct of the party before in government, it should mirror how it's going to govern when it becomes in government. So that's very important. I hope that agreement will be fully honored, and then politics member caring. Probably it will bring more sanity in what we do.
Yeah, we hope.
Because there is something happening. I don't know whether opposition parties understand the focus is shifting from fighting against the government to fighting against each other.
Well, there are people doing that. But for us at Unite, the focus is how do we change the reality of the Gambian people. On a daily basis, attacks come from left, right. But the focus is core. Gambia di ngon lafta mem moyla. Do ufuta ndela wala nyadi. Ndela do ko nte mu marsandise wafila. Naka marsandise wala wafi. Wala napati Unite. Nte mu marketer, ndela director of marketing. Wesa marketing manager. Nte bo kala nyadi le mba information of la mola nyame. Momo e kudo ke wala momo e kudo low. Itala long wala word. But in Dollar Unite, we are focused on the issues. We are focused on the issues that matter to the Gambian people. So, and when we talk about issues, we have two perspectives we need to look at it from. The direct and consequential issues may along at the bottom level. Well, the bread and butter issues. Well, baluku, well, security, and then you have the high-hanging issues, long term. You talk about climate change, you talk about the environment, you talk about national reserves.
You definitely take us to the next topic. So we have to be there now.
Yeah.
Okay. So atola hamen kuol ale miro men soro Gambia nyanta tala nyame. Aning alafta Gambia mara la nyame. Aning alhameta Gambia banko e futa damen. Yirwato bang harma dingol la nyanto buñato wala ko sifa bera. Albakela kaytoldo memo wala manifesto di. Wujje kacha kumara. Atol ye mune mira Gambia la nyato tato aning unite lafta Gambia sifa nyadi le lol.
So ntolo kabrenga unite dati.
Yes.
Ngamen fo molle wolem ko nata me realize politiko kono kontol be banum political party le kono be menum politiko le kono different parties ntol le dentanga unite for wala na mo unite kambe ngolo ngamen realize wolem ko there's always been a big gap between the governors and the governed wala na nyaton kolo wala na president wala na député wala na nyaton kolo ane mole itol mu mel la nyaton kolo nko fon nyin sa falen nyimba kala nyaadi le wolem ko fon se si nyoka ngaji be nga ko murundi muluka. Because the reason me along ko mol buka interest for certain governance. There was a state of address, parliament address keta amamme bag. Moje lalo. Kunung vice president ata deputy bumoto. Moje lalo. Kunung minister of foreign affairs bijere no and minister of health. Ko mel keta imbango ka. Moje lalo because people are detached from the reality and people are focused be menka wala mbalo. Cool be soni ala nyinyade ni sunkar ba kon mano da seleta sukro da seleta jabo da seleta wala nanka ko these are bread and butter issues me anko people ba wala jibe kan at the short term basis but there are also long term basis unite ndolka Gambia jale in a metaphorical position ko molo me alon ko ay prospects to back baramo kuranta so kuran dum ife sa jaar ni mo jaar te kam neke e kata e diagnosis lege wo diagnosis ba kare nyaadi e kam mur mol le kan wala e kata yana ya check ya wiste so ndol ko the diagnosis will happen in the sense ko e be muru na mol le kan ni muru na mol kan people tell you what they feel and how they think it can be solved you don't need to be an expert to nte manke expert when it comes to agriculture but I know ko don banko fala mol sa balu balu be kala nyaadi le fo farmer le ya fo control ya believe tenin te wala ko falena ye supply chain jibe yeah economy jibe the agricultural economy ning a seed sol di farmer sol la near do ko jamando ye cost jella you know travel and in transportation or logistics ka bondi la farmer to kata marché to be cost jella profit jella ba sotla ika jella do ko a fasan tol balondi non tol Gambia dingol ba fa ba kala nyaadi le ñun lam ko te men jibe bante taw fole no kan tamange expert nta sake founder of Unite no or a co-founder but I cannot give you these answers fon sita molka jonale sol mel bije itole alon freedom of speech monete itole alon press freedom monete itole alon ethics of the ila professional monete itole sa fo no be monekala no ke mako teachers sol mel be karambungol to itole sa fo no the challenges they are facing itole sa fo no monebe caring and be nyoma ko la nyaadi yebo woto yeta l'hôpital no doctor rol ning no sol Gambia no sol ning they are one of the most hardworking people but the facility ning equipment le man available wana na do ko ka kwalebul isela mo nyulle la ya fo monebe caring this is the diagnosis of the sick Gambia we are talking about ni bota woto yalo ni diagnosis ke fa long monebe la ka prescription prescription mo la munti inyanta borol men sanna ke fanjara wo ansal nyulbe men dila naka fuko these are the because opposition ya manke dronka fuko these are the issues what are the solutions you are going to bring to these issues wala fana nyanda kala mira dulari that is how you prescribe neo prescription o prescription o be sanna nyaadi le carte fay lu Gambia no le findi carte fay ya jogo fale moyke e boro sa Gambia jara ntoli I believe ko this is the process and wo be kala nyaadi le ntolu ma fuko be sila bungol kono ma fuko be sila conference hall kono ngole be manifesto murundi la molle kan andu ngawo kale nyaadi be nga sovel kele no ngamol ki banko karo be like sovel ka moli ninga what are the important issues to them mboto don ko professional mele am ko they are in the different fields they can submit position papers mboto don ko mo fana ni miro lo soto asamana ngaji be mba kala nyame nga waleta nga compile nga ke document note saying mba refine kan andu na yara ale mba fendin la Gambian du wala kan pour ya ko nyimmu la document note wala ntolla manifesto we are calling it the people's manifesto or the people
ning
sunkaro botala we have a lot of fankol nyanta medical activity because koya kalam danyame we are one of the only parties me anko na representation and officials in all of the regions. We are also one of the parties me anko na structural sort of all over the country. Nyanta no official be yellale nyanta presentation dolo kelale nyanta meeting dantan kala kote. So during that mbenying manifesto launch fanan kelale me anko mba murun la mulka.
So looking at the consultations alimenke, what are some of the key issues many alonko ka findinang about molla baluo Kenya and molla miro Gambia la tanyar?
So nga point dandam fole nakaja kono earlier. One wala mko baluo. Kadung baluo kole abaral. In 2016, Saddam was costing $1,650. B Saddam is costing almost $3,500. American rice was costing around 800 to 900. B American rice is costing 1,950. So womu kuledi. Mburo has taken 100% jump. Mburo was costing $6. B Mburo is costing $12.
Yes.
Yajibe munem koteng CC kilo was costing $5. B CC kilo is costing $15. Kanda buka sanno so ma da fon long. So
just day before yesterday entire CC kilo credo sang e gonye $350. I remember bring
$100
$150 sign $350.
So Jababoto was $400. Jababoto is $800, almost 100% increment. And wala nande ka for
bring Sunkaroka started was $1,400.
So nyinku lo me yalanko ntolko we have to address it. But how do you address it? You cannot address it na keda ko etelan balu wonila na fankamo be ka bo bandal. Gambia, almost 87% of Gambia member consume akabo bantala banko letter. How do you correct these things? Is by empowering agriculture and farmers in the country. And nyanta move away from cash crops. Mavo ko ti o mambere ade. Bari alenga do ko ke ko me an konfonsa balon wala. Bankol kawaleke. Cash crop is a colonial construct. Because tubabo le tio introduced in Gambia. Puri ado kujang. Puru na tulo bota. Aita industrial revolution on plenish. Because what make a sula tulo lal puru masion. Ikamele do kondi in the cotton.
It was built to feed their own system.
So B, we can still make money from it. Well, like for cash crop. Cash ika kodol soto je. But yani be kodol soto la yena ata mano sang. Why not ite fo mano dogo because it's your staple. Why not ite fo ye tubabu yo doku because ika monomin. Why not ye nyo doku. Gambia ande amena agricultural focus nyanda kala world. Ni bota wodo fana. You ya jibe bi fana globally munel kasang. Tio grande la kasane bi bari amange kwa benu nyame in before. But hanna kada tio hansa mbe continue kake cash crop ti. But what more in 1911, 1912, kada for 1916. If my memory serves me right, Gambia was just number 2 in West Africa when it came to groundnut production. We are only behind Nigeria because of northern Nigeria land groundnut. Because we are around the likes of Aminu Dantata, Aliko Dangote, uncle, were one of the biggest merchants when it came to groundnut in West Africa. So in northern Nigeria, because of the size of the country and its land size, agriculture can umbage. Be in Tolkatio import. Gambia bingatio import. Hani wonjo memu wonjoti nka import le. Wala na wonjo ka fodo e Burkina. Aka Burkina Faso.
Even garden fengol fam. Nka bonne la yiri dingolu.
Otumo onte bakaw. Ndol buka chalo dom. Kadon ko fuare nyelo. Bi chalo buka soto. Nyelo soto. So wolmu ko le me alanko fo man sakunda sa jibe. Andu niko ilafta falen wakele ilafta ko le sonia. These are issues balu like ke follow. For example, kunu mfama bakachaka because annually na suo kono mamala traditional lo. Sunkaro kono kasada di. So mbe sukur borol sanga konde fon come to think about it. Muna anka sukuro di molla. Bi akata bunyalti dan mol sulata men. Kongo membe bankuka mol sulata mano la more than sukuro. Kadika sukuro is a supplement. Eka sukuro ke fenne kono. Ni wo fon nyanda kala mengo ni wo mansoto. Eka sukuro ke mo.
Because the last stable food is rice.
Exactly.
So we need to concentrate more on rice cultivation.
Exactly.
Pour come from Bolundi. Then fifengol membe filale pour ka wafiro ke. Ka kodo soral.
So hani aji woto mo bakaw na mero la garden oldo. Do ko menga keje. Ko menga keje sukuta nyolo. Ngari memba salad do so danga ka fa la menton. ñinata ba député lo no lay njayte ko lay njay ka lonum ba kawle bari there was a député me alon atele o kulol sama nan PPP député lo ay fenko ya tola o mentawla bi ndolla politician what are they doing? Because those are legacies me alon ko ikatu no ko ma moli remember so ndaka wala form ko that's one way we can tackle the issue of food insecurity because niko security there are two aspects you have sovereign security security was the external and internal security but you talk about food security fana so what I have raised young is how can't we set up cooperative unions community be member in banko kan ibela youth group soli Niko Baka Youth Development Association, Sukuta Youth Development Association, Kerawan Youth Association. You talk about Jali Youth Association. Why can't we set up formalize a register? Under a regional body at the governor's office. Me alonko in combo. The land is fertile. Agriculture is a kenoje. Fisheries is a kenoje. Ngajibe mbenyim funding ke mako la nyadi. Nye empower. Yeta kiangoldo ngajibe muneka tamanoje yeta fonyi you look at what you can impact there yeta CRR for example CRR North and South empowerment dealer iko fonikel alal fan organize momo ye farol mel dogu mansakunda ba mano be sanebul and then it is sort of a cooperative union.
And in CRR you can do all year round cultivation.
Because irrigation was a keno.
I lived there for 2 years. Exactly. I understand that.
And Gambia alliant also because we are the only country in Africa. Geo yang kuntule team.
I was going to say that we could leverage on Gambia for transportation. And near Dokuje. The structure of the river allows you to transport it. Yes.
Aita interland, aita the external.
Yes.
So that's one. Two, you talk about security for Nankonga Memfo.
Yes.
Be near Jibe. Ndaka Memfo walam ko Gambia police oli ka katabag and the security sector ka katabag. But the empowerment oni encouragement on dasata. Be near Jibe bimbe dame. Be crime rate are increased. But the wofana monete we need to look at the push and pull factors. Because nim funding ke do ko soto funding ke be mutaren kudo ikamen for tubabu kamen for iko an idle mind is a devil's workshop.
Sure.
So na keto ko imantara fenna there's a lot of youth delinquency drug over mala call by keta addicted. There's a high tendency ko ni ma soto ibita mol attack la yanyini and this is not an excuse for the behavior but it's about what alternative are we creating. For example bi kunum bejang ngaje le jinak menketa je.
I was going to ask.
So granted, the laws of the Gambia are very clear. Contraband drugs or drugs in general, moma na use la, wala imanya na cultivate la. But what is the government doing? Bi ninko jinak nko fifembuka beteaje. But feta livestock production kelano. Feta poultry farming kelano.
Yes. I was going to say what would be Unite's alternative to
that is what
Kanyum Kunkol Janjanteng
Ardeman so nkawale gifting. For poultry farming to kelanoje. For livestock production to kelanoje. But nasalo kanale. Ntolbi alono sajo da kole ajanyame. Cocoa is something me anko river the ocean banks akafengol. Jinak fon cocoa si araje. Why can't we have a coconut plantation? In Jinak me anko we can export it. Bankol nyanta nyene jibe la nyanta lonkawal tala nyulle to kaji falo be kala nyaade.
We see whether we can do fish farming.
Yes, fish farming because geoning already there's water. All you need to do is create this the cages. Because amanja ika geo farming. But geoning is a traveling one.
It could be a good spot for fish farming.
So nyulbe mukole me anko sa jibe. But mansakunda ita wulla no longile ndoro. Yemul livelihood kasara iko wolu nyantam saying wolba kala nyadi iko ibina wal empower. When will the empowerment come? Because every single day people need to eat.
I had an interview with a government official who was sitting where you are seated, and then some of these issues come in for especially about youth empowerment. Ala excuse was that there is enough opportunity for youth in this country, especially with the Tibet programs, but youth sold among
but in coming for TVET, granted. Last year, most of the TVET schools, right? Melia that follow Walma Bang. But even before, there were skill centers in this country.
Yes.
Giving people skills is one thing, but giving people the opportunity to express those skills is another thing.
Yes.
I spoke to Kabrim Bandanin Soviet Lapurka manifesto.
Yeah.
In West Coast region, I met a boy. When you contacted GTT Island, when we were almost 70 in our class.
Yes.
When we were carpenters.
Yeah.
When you entered the Male Blue was or JB. Where are the other 69?
They're all idling.
They're idling.
Yeah.
Being a contract was also.
Yes.
How long they be sustain?
They could in fact be the ones addicted in drugs or the ones trying to go out in the country inside the greener postures.
Well, back way
yes.
Okay, because make a man for back way handy bit aje nini skill tata kafisiale.
Yeah.
Nko mwele nko fole.
Yes.
So wala mkweli me alonko kamo karandi skill among kanya.
Yeah.
B, hani more skill sort of B. But can they compete with the Chinese, imported goods?
No.
B, let's say a Gambian electrician also. I need mic or the data.
Yes.
But I be main use because raw material mantara available in Jang.
Yes.
I be raw material men use.
Yes.
I be fabrication on kala dame. I be family men use.
Yes.
Can they compete with mele alonko can mass produce?
No.
No, they cannot.
No.
So until na institutions are or na industries are competing globally or hana globally domestically and locally abekoliala le puri afuko ntol can you empower wala nafana nde one of the issues me anko manzakunda yake this year I think it's a right step in the right direction wala nkavuko ni lejumo la njabolu puruka importation on yintala bari it's a good idea, it's a good policy.
Sure.
But when it comes to the implementation, we have to look at the other factors. For Jabo Menka Dogo Bangkoka, can it sustain the market?
Yeah.
Because Ninku almo demand and supply.
Yes.
Wala na tumando Jabo dala fata. Because ngamen soto jang among more fenkano.
Yeah, so, I think that's a very important point. Some point cemento la kuo and I issue raised yeah. Okay, so if we're thinking of to say ko laftaka certain threshold on certain
but
supplies.
Cemento fonta me njaka.
Yes.
Ntolbuga cemento produce.
Yes.
So itolla ala menkiji and they ala menkiraje. Alon Jabo at least waka produce.
Yes, waka produce.
And local farmers like our produce.
Yes.
But cemento buga produce.
Yes.
Ita kweka importation no men stop doe.
Yeah.
O do nyi kweka menga mpa wo fana ka import le. Waka rebagging nekaje. So I don't know, but
Jabo cemento some of this even bagas mesama Jamal Bije egabona ndala bankol la. So dole ko okay ni ko be loi do natela aske non ndala bankol fana ibatande ka wala la ko no nalla badi ya dal asisi badi ya lan journal. So unite be o strategy sifal tamandi no la nyaadile for Gambia aya fan soto bari aning adonyol fana bulo itara nyobulu yirwala kam
wala tin Gambia la foreign policy anyanta distinct la moli ala mun Gambia la foreign policy
yes
bari bi ningete nyini kayta Gambia du ngete ta fala nyano fo mun Gambia la foreign policy
yes
andong gambango banko isa la fi regional integration la nyaawo nya
yes
isa la fi unity la within the sub-region or the continent bari ila banko dingolo wala nyanda ke ila nyanto follow
yes
Hanin neighbors melbe next door.
Yes.
Wali a ban kele into poultry products porque important. Wali a ban kele on vegetables porque important. There's nothing wrong with having a nationalistic position when it comes to empowering your indigenous industries.
Yes.
So in Tolufana nyanta jibela woldo na farmers whole especially in na indigenous industry melbe jam na ko musudo kulal konka men follow abe mu formalization ani kanyo organize le.
But yet again, so yeah, it triggers something about mindset. Also, Ndol, we are somehow infiltrated by our immediate neighbors. So some of this lual nadi, people who are within us from those particular settlements try to instigate something, and then subsequently Nagambian will be pick it up. Okay, we make it our own fight. When strategically, it is a fight of other people because their country's products are getting into our country and it stops our products from getting into the market. So maybe nimmo good storage facilities or a product or
and it goes back to my point. And follow wala na mansa niba karre faila.
Yes.
Hayanda kala molde me a proven track record sort.
Yes.
Jang area council mel be jang. KMC da male le storage lo musu famale in Bangkok. and
That's
Bakau.
commendable.
Na musu farmal melbe Bakau, we have a storage facility for them. Hani janim Bakau for even in the Sarakunda market in 2018 or 2019, na storage for an low age. Mele along ke kele fengol sama na ye maboje because amange ko mbuka quality produce, but mbuka la shelf life le extend no because mona masoto mba mabolo dame. Mba mali yela wel so le ka maboro ke nyamen ke salato lu mabo ka jiyo funfungi kan ke kafe, but it's not sustainable. So ntolo kama wolam ko, you need to have a clearly defined policy on how to support industries. Wala nang it's the whole chain, supply chain, production, storage, value addition, market value, and then kodo be muruna back nyadile. And mbewokela no nyadile, there are different factors me anko when you look at the value chain. For example, near do ko ke nakudo. Are we creating a value addition for the farmers directly me anko supply consumer binasan na jile directly, or are we creating a value chain me anko there will also be a supplier. So these are all me anko isa jibe no. Banda kami for mole wolam ko ninkol mangkolea. It's not rocket science, it's basic understanding. But mansakunda yanta priority letandi la na priority wa minto le purka doko. And unfortunately, ntema jiki ko mansakunda la priorities are where they're supposed to be. President Adam Barrow is more focused on how do I keep another term than how do I impact the lives of the Gambian people. So bimbe wolto and wala nandol opposition ol nyanta nyaella na focus nga realize ko what is at stake. Amanke because akada nyawanya sanje tan tambita ntolo akara nyawo nyante benna durawo do moka nembanna supakanja do moka and I can say the same for you, but not everybody is as fortunate as us. And so nivedation otala, it is not about one person. It is not about ante miro mensoto wala juma modo en miro do mensoto, but memo wolam ko gambe dingol melan ko batakan gambe dingol melan ko lungolung ko liaba la kan ko liaba bole ka nyaadi la no fana mila nyaadi.
It's very important. So while we talk about some of these basic things about Baluo, we know go economic for is evident, to be honest. It's evident because it is impacting our daily lives, but wakola jata kende ani karang wal mukule de me alon ko kumaya batala ari ne Baluo soto Baluo kono sa bejel.
But Baluo near Balu kendo soto. Ijato
kende. Balu yes, a healthy mind, a healthy body breeds a healthy mind. Okay, yes.
Because ni aje for borol melan kai bor jama do ko bi. E ka bodo morol leto. Na ka vitamin ol lenyini. Abe fruit sol dole. Na ka protein lenyini. Aba soso ni suboto. Na ka iron lenyini. Aba nyetole. Na ka munenyini. So ika menta supplements anim borol do. Ni domor kendo soto. Akawo supplement le. So ndaka wale foko nina jata nina Baluo soneata. Because ni ajibe obesity is lafata. Ni ajibe ning hypertension or vengeta. People go for the cheaper option because wale be bulu. Baluo for a second. But human beings, for example, were never meant to be sedimentary. Manya natarla nung seed la killing otombe. Human beings na body ala ya design nyame wolamko, we have to always be on the
move.
You understand? And for example, the eating habits in Melsoto. So it goes back to how we are being influenced by global phenomena. Right? Ndaka memfo wolamko ni ajibe wotumo. Ikafo enoko globally, kasubodo mo baki amambetea, red meat mambetea, aka hypertension aka diabetes aka But science is telling you ko nil after bulky, nil after fitla. You need to eat more protein. Right? Saying what more an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I remember there used to be those sayings. But model cafe so evolution of food work continue kakele. But in tola indigenous manolo, for example, what more? Manidos don't know it was called the red rice because we in tolka mano mendomo bijang. Ninareka wal niwasifal. They are all indigenous to Asia. But Africa, most of them, but Africa yala own manol sotolino. They were healthier and they could compete until la jang cool be janyame. So ntaka mem for mole wolemko, we must always revisit the social system and see how best do we learn from them.
So those are the values Unite represent.
Unite represents a Gambian value. Unite represents making sure we build political and social systems that reflect the basic lives of the Gambian people.
Yes, but in doing that also, there are a lot of challenges that might come also, because you talk about food sovereignty, which is very, very important. And then you also talk about, at some point, industrialization and technology, maybe, to have sovereignty in technology, which is very, very important as well. But energy is becoming a challenge as well, because without energy, probably it will be difficult for us to do. And we have solar energy in abundance, but we are not utilizing.
So, utilization.
Yes.
So, just a few days ago, again, because nka tu imposition all talent. Nka tu cool talent me alongo, because we were speaking about Fyodor Dostoevsky, a writer from Russia, St. Petersburg, to say. And we were just speaking about his life and how dunia kono mo be ka tech, right? Science and technology is important. But dunia bankol mel be developed, they have to evolve. So you talk about the era of enlightenment, or the Renaissance, or the philosophical age. Cabriya Tales of Meletus also, Galileo. You talk about Socrates, you talk about Plato, you talk about Aristotle. It was an era of knowledge, philosophical knowledge and social knowledge, because it was all about how societies evolve. It was how dunia katamanya dile. They came to the era of enlightenment. They came to the era of reason. To the era of Renaissance. Renaissance long covering the French Revolution, legality, equality, and fraternity. So what be societies, how societies were built. Another industrial revolution. Be another science and technology. Unfortunately, we had societies they were built on social settings. African political systems and African social systems. But the main keta break less because colonialism. Kabrin farakoyol mata nyola yen dominate. Imperialism le natana. And colonialism. Wakera nyadi la wala nanko ko hanin ka manol mel do kujang ya impose. Tiong kamen do kujang ya impose. Right? Because it left the industrial empowerment.
So that is why.
So let me finish this point. So ntolu ninko be energy. You talk about energy. For example, 1,000 years ago, Tales of Meletus World, they spoke about how we could use the sun or how water. For example, when talk about the hydraulic dam. Fonts and knowledge fanang redefine. And what do you mean by technology, technology? Is it how societies evolve, or is it about data and is it about statistics? So until we are able to come up with that, but Nico again the sun. There are technologies we can make best use of it. But how are we utilizing it? Because being told almost 365 days in a year. In Tolka energy sotol. But I spoke to people at Nawek Mel Konyako. It is not ko mbuka ma wat sotonga men need pour ka Gambia be generate electricity. But in na grid la doya.
The supply chain
grid ni na doya. Bini ajibe antole ka power jo men nanu. Na kada nunko ngawatale nga invest into working on a solar grid. Tumando be Gambia be by electric.
Because also at government level, probably we are not thinking strategically. We are not doing strategic investment.
You need leadership that thinks strategically and that can deliver to the Gambian people.
And Unite brings that strategic thinking and that strategic approach in governance. But you spoke about something also, Mayor Alonko, we need to talk about it. You talk about colonial structures. So there are a lot of colonial structures, many Alonko, they are still in place. Okay, colonialism in a sense is out, but we need to decolonize some of the structures colonialism ya menadi. And so it will happen in Africa country Jamaica tra julod. So a system under Unite, how would a Unite system operate in trying to decolonize some of those structures? Is Canada heavily reliant on the West for us to be ourselves?
I think from the beginning answers most of that. Because I talk about how do we indigenize the industries we have. Indigenizing indigenous industrial, industry traditional industry, it will empower the I see no reason Monat in Gambia, for example. There are a lot of colonized industries. One is the tax system.
Yeah.
Because tax, again, is a colonial construct.
Yes.
In the sense, granted,
yes.
but a format benyadi leno. Be, for example, everybody pays tax from ila wages.
Yeah.
But it is not in a communal setting. Even though that is
yes.
where welfare is provided for the people. But unfortunately, Gambia, because tax men kajo reflective in the development we have in this country. So problem we are faced with it. Number two, how do we build a system it provides welfare for the people, provides social safety nets, it provides a good pension you can live dignifiedly even after la do banta. Because you can tax menjo
so how would Unite implement that? Yeah.
So this is where we need to indigenize our industries in the sense you talk about capital melbe Gambia.
Yeah.
Why is it that ning ibe bota they cannot show anything for it?
Yeah.
Why can't we build a cooperative union for carpenters? When they need loans, they can go there and get the financing they need. They can loan kodola business will grow.
Yeah.
Why can't we have a cooperative union for let's say masoners? They can come together and compete for government contracts. Yanibe contract di la modo la banda. Ya di nyimola because jamanya wamengake. Ning contract di ta middleman wala. Akata ni di local mason lela kote. Why don't you eliminate the middleman? Ya provide directly to cooperative setup and by formalizing these masoners association.
But in doing that, we also have to eliminate corruption then.
But that's the whole point. Wala nyanta eliminate la. Ndaka mem for Franks wala mko. Politiko manga do kodi.
Yeah.
Political service long. Near politician na ama business or aman do kudo so. And I believe can, I survive can. One day I can take you jail as a councillor.
Yeah.
And I know I cannot survive on that. So ning politician o beje me anko do kudo tabu. Ala nyi ninka kala kudo wala.
Then there is a tendency of corruption in that politician.
We must be able to formalize these industries.
Yeah.
Because for example, ning silol bel be jibe kadera. Ya jibe ning contractual mel be dita. Motol mel ka samman sakundai. It makes no sense. And wala na nyanta corruption jibe. But again, it goes back to the people that are also supposed to be checks and balances. Wolfon can depend executive work and put it a survivor.
Yes.
So now we must be able to build systems that work.
Yes. So Kemo mu bakawala dibitori B. Daniel la besiala Kemo ya so much so that Kemo will be overwhelmed with the people coming, and then that could tempt Kemo to engage in corruption in order to satisfy those needs of those people. Yes.
Wala na Gambia nyanda tala in a state. Gambia mankole aka develop. We are 3 million people plus. In a land size of 11,295. Gambia mawara. Why can't we be Monaco? Why can't we be Dubai? Why can't we be a tax haven?
And Unite will make that for the Gambia.
Oh yes. That is the plan we have. Because you also have to be realistic enough. These are not. We have short-term goals and we have long-term goals. The short-term goals are how do we address the challenges faced by the Gambian people. Let's say hunger, let's say food security, let's say sovereign security, let's say healthcare, let's say education. Right? Yes. But in that education setup is how you also work towards the long term. By making sure you bring in a colonialism. You bring in a syllabus, doesn't make us job seekers, but makes us job creators. Be, for example, Europe covering Second World War Bandara, or even after slavery, they knew they needed industry. Europe covering Second World War Bandara, or even after slavery, they knew they needed industries. Revolutionized. They make it skills-led empowerment. They need Germany, it have Finland, it have Norway. More big. The skills you mentioned, these are the richest countries we're talking about in the world. Right? Why can't we do that? Because the educational system was set up, can get clerks, can get secretaries, and it can get nurses. Again, to fuel the colonial system.
Yeah, but yet again, so someone could say, okay, Kemo might be saying all these nice ideas, beautiful speeches, but probably when they get into the actual governance and they're faced with the realities, maybe the tone will change.
I think, again, track record. As the Youth Council of KMC, follow 20 million youth revolving funds in Bangkok. money funding business land. And there are people in this country who have benefited from it. Because the digital commerce and I am a believer in open markets. Market promote technicality and innovation on track. During COVID-19, we looked at 3 innovative ideas that will tackle COVID-19. One was Gisco, a company that they were working around.
I remember the...
Yes, we gave $1 million to 3 young entrepreneurs.
I remember.
Support in the art.
Yes.
Yes. Support in sports. We were the first municipality to come here trophy. Now, many would Mohani Gambia first division league. Moreover, support on community funding and the from time back where return is from project comment start like them. We are ready to support them currently. Important seed financial capital in the business owner.
So in short,
I am saying I have done it.
Yes.
And this is why I can speak about it today.
A united government also
will be a replica of
what you are implementing at KMC. We could see KMC as a mirror of
as a case study.
As a case study.
The honey more parliament. But Monica from Moleko, now left out on the bank and in Amazon. Like a KMC as an example. We don't know.
Okay, Village Cedars or KMC is not a good case, but KMC used to be a very good case for others.
Any local government be
waste management, infrastructure,
KMC only municipal council the parks, the markets, the assembly halls.
Interesting. We've said a lot, Kemo. It has been a very, it's a long conversation, so I think this is a very enlightening one. We're so much enlightened that it took away from the regular political discourse that
social conversations are political discussions.
Yes, but it took us away from the regular political debates people will have on a daily basis, which is very, very
And I think, and this is what Unite was formed to do, to shift the conversation.
It's very important.
Yeah, from non-personality conversations to conversations that can enact and that can change the reality of the land.
Okay, but on those typical political conversations, how realistic do you think a coalition would be?
There will be a coalition, I can say that for a fact.
How realistic do you think?
Very, very realistic. There will be a coalition. I can give you that for a fact.
You don't think there will be a divided opposition coming in the election?
No, we have never had any election in this country where the whole opposition were together. And I think it's important people understand that. Niko coalition of Fanam, among the mobile Fanam Bitan. In 2016, Kamuna Bajame Molina. Opposition will be matter together.
Yes.
Do Laya Jamaica and do Fanam do if more. So political will now.
But the most funny part was during the build-up to the election, it's difficult to have politicians together, opposition politicians together. But the aftermath of the election, when they are challenging results, they unite in such endeavors.
Yeah, because political is about what unites you is usually greater than what divides you.
Yes.
So the personal ambitions divided them.
Yeah.
But what united them was the cause to change the electoral results. So it shows for what unites you is always great. Because politics has never and should never be about our personal ambition.
Yes.
It should always be about what is important.
So that means if there is a coalition in place and the UMC's, let's say whoever becomes UMC's flag bearer, those who eventually become the flag bearer for the coalition, UMC will still take that in.
If the process leading to that. So I'm talking about coalition to me, it doesn't have value. Because coalition will remain, especially in 2016. Because I like to use 2016 because it is still fresh, more in my mind. So we had a plan, but we didn't have a post-coalition plan. The plan was, But pose it made it even difficult to have a cabinet. It took so long to name a cabinet set up. More often, I need to be argue on what to do. Others agreed on the tactical alliance. Others said no, we have coalition or through coalition, don't go on at all. So it showed we never really had a plan. So no coming for one go in that better coalition or coalition. It will be a coalition based on party. A coalition may have more than father and have impacts of the lives of the Gambian people. But in Gambian for when it comes to selection of a flag there, don't believe and don't believe is core. It has to go back to the people. Not just for a delegate or select now, we also what happened in 2016.
But don't you think that will bring another front division between the opposition?
No, because my belief is core. If you go to not every Gambian is a card-carrying member of a party. I personally believe for minority of us, like members of political parties. Majority of Indians probably you are not a member of any party. If I ask him, he's not a member of any party. Majority of a member of a party. So every group of people, and minority like a member of a party. But we want you all to vote for the coalition candidate. So I don't have a vote. Being a delegates or samana. Delegates are representatives of their parties. They are not representatives of the Gambian people. They do not reflect or they do not represent Gambia anyone for after me. So don't come for them. Namu Gambia anyone can national consultation on them. Na survey. Namu Molaka. Carton for coin. Meaning car. Carton left a Jumala coalition on Yaton Cody. Coalition was I don't know if the coalition of Yaton Cody.
So that's why I said probably that the problem would come.
But at least we will be showing more momentum than being all that water for them and not being
but the general notion is that the biggest party automatically leads to the coalition.
That is not a general notion. Why didn't we do that in 2016? Why did we go through a panel?
There are discussions we cannot be part of any coalition that is not the UDP coalition.
That is their thought. But in a party, another Tri-Vergence was signed.
Yes.
So it was support a movement for now.
Yes.
But the party of
but that will also weaken the coalition if
like I said,
the UDP candidate become the flag bearer.
Like I said, there hasn't been any coalition in Bangkok, but he'll be that coalition.
Yes.
And the only time the name government fell was through an election. I cannot speak for the UDP. I cannot say what will be their stance. UDP is a position or something you call it after party later. They understand the call after Namur Moleka. They don't understand lady. Namur Molka, Namur console, Namur Ninika. They more comment. Don't more la party.
So in a situation UDP did not agree to that procedure and then back out from the whole process. Did that not bring
for UDP the man party in Mango. Yes. UDP is a minority.
So
you are talking about 3 million people.
Yes.
UDP the last country was 238,000.
Yes.
So you have 2.7 million people.
Let's see how this all goes.
Do the mathematics.
Yeah, but let's see how it all goes. The procedure in selecting first.
I can't speak for them.
Yeah, first how you agree on having a coalition, and second how you choose a candidate for that coalition. That will be an interesting process.
But don't you understand points on that?
Yeah.
Nobody argues about that.
Yeah.
So that's the point. Every party can have their position, but it is not engraved in stone.
And an independent candidate say, "Oh, another region, you have to accept legalization of."
Exactly. Another position on them, another position on the. So what make it a position also?
But if everybody has that strong position, would that not lead to
that is why negotiations come in, and that's why you compromise. You want to compromise so that the coalition.
You have to compromise certain political party values of your party so for the greater interest of
the country.
Oh, yes. I think this is a good point to end. We've talked a very long time. Yeah, so if only you have something else that you have to remember, Kamul Hakilo Brandi, United Processor, Lemon Carry, and you could remember
them. So, we won't wait until I'm there, my fellow Yakarabari, and told Kabin Findin Karagan Hanko. ndolo ya mobile because nema mira ko mfura dami mfura ngalo ni more than ko ngalo more than no like ka ko pen wo mu ko dina ndolo fon tare bari awatandile fana ko mbenna me kara slow kam me to nya slow ka ko zumoni ma tara to nya do abu kana ba wani aje halbi bitaka anu ko be bitaka ni gira ko me to nya kana ka anu ndaka me ro politiko among quality among the family more equal to it is the collective room for life. Change is the only thing constant in life. Yes. And don't you go for Gambia and United 2026. And that can for new monkey next government, we will be part of the next government. We can offer all the time. So
either joining the opposition or joining government.
No, I mean it's the coalition. So when you are coalition, you are part of the coalition government.
Yes. So if coalition fails and you have an offer from NDP,
we have had offers from NDP. We have had offers. And I have witnesses many and we get a career offer. But they are political in I can't more offer. I know one other political is very transactional. I'm going to do more. So I know myself. I did in 2021 million more from Kabila nomination in the moment. I will live in Africa.
Because he understands that politics is all about numbers.
But then
one vote can make him.
Yeah, but then that also is very unethical. And Lunta come and fall and go. Mansa kana jari ko bila. Lunta amanya nte hadi. Naja tanunta bila tanunta MPP. Mflan jamal bi. Imam londi sotondi. Imam exposing imam by political. But you have to believe in something. And dunia moldi inyan tala fenno tala da falimon la ko gambe nyan tambola la wa alhalo men kon
you believe in the principle and you follow that principle
hani mbora yuli bi waro men asadi nyan nunu ngaga baro bari mo ndoli esiro men da wala korea because we are starting from afresh kan hani kabli be yuli bi ngatara the foundation was already laid and yuli bi foundation was easier because I mean you had already 3 established parties men la together ka yuli before and we are starting from scratch. So his bravery, his honor, his ability to think and deliver, and is a position fatty alone. Because in Dolby Allen, a jump to go, you bought a dime, second, never a dime. But it be Ndala Unko because you get a lot it's best for this country and it's best for me.
Thank you, Kemo. You know, follow it. After Yamurna, for Jenny Kate for thank you. Meeting Major Yawa Minta, Kanakasi Kakazania, Kata Jamfarabari, Akumara. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Maltendula Baldera, Kafala B in Kachari, Mensolade, United la spokesperson, one of the Amula, United Toyara, Kemo Bojang, Kumala, Nabina, and Kacharo Solila, Minimal Water Cedar, Kudo Lamina, Denning Party, the party again, and in Gambia, Tanya, Alana Nimbara, Alani Ibrahim.